Okay. So I've talked to, and some people have had different shapes. So you can have, I'm not sure if you also mentioned that in your group, but you can have full crossover shapes. So rather than the example, one group going up and the other group going up as well, but not as strong or staying flat, you can have one group going up and one group going down, for example, on an outcome measure. And those tend to be the strongest interactions because in terms of finding the effects, if one group goes down and the other one goes up, and you're multiplying the terms, and that will be the strongest effect. So those are the strongest type of interactions. And people have mentioned that there were different types of things they looked at. For example, gender and shape of the container of some sort, or like that. And even in cases where you think it might not apply because you might have a main effect, sometimes your effect won't work, and it's because there's psychologists are very fond of hidden moderators. There's something which is obscuring the effect. So, for example, you've developed this beautiful intervention, but it turns out it actually only works for a group of people who are very depressed, and if you didn't take that into account and like don't calculate interaction, you won't find this type of effect. So it's good to think beforehand, like which type of variables would modify. So even if you have a main effect, so like hunger, so if you're interested in saying that hungry people will estimate certain bodies as more attractive, it could be contingent on the third variable. For example, their own body size could play a role in it, their own relationship status, all sorts of other things could matter. And it's good to think about which type of variables might alter the relationship between your predicted main effect and the control. And then you have to list all your hypotheses rather than running the analysis first and then just chucking more and more things at it to make it work. Yeah. Okay. So other forms. So we talked a little bit about what other forms can interactions take, and most of you will have focused on two-way interactions, but you can also have three-way interactions. So these are three variables that are interacting. So for example, you could have gender and age and shape of the container, and that could influence the way they draw these containers, which you've done apparently in a practical. So that would be three-way interactions, and it becomes more and more complex. In principle, there's no stopping. You can do four-way interactions, five-way interactions. They become more difficult to plot and to interpret because then you have to see where post hoc, where the effect lies. So I would recommend that in most cases you stop at three-way and don't go beyond that. And even three-way is a little bit far-fetched. Okay. Now for today, we're going to work through an example of the ToothGrowth data set, and it's 60 guinea pigs, and they were given vitamin C in different doses and via different delivery methods. So one of them was via orange juice, and the other one's via ascorbic acid. And just to illustrate the 2x3 design here, yeah. So we'll work our way through that. So I would like you to load the ToothGrowth datasets and test the assumptions for a 2x3 Anova. You should know we've gone over them. So that's the homogeneity of variance test and the normality tests. It's good if you do it overall, like for normality, but you can also make it by the subgroups. And you might have to go back to your slides and look as to how you did it. So you might have to go back to week 3 as to how you did it. And you have to think a little bit about what the solutions are in case of violations. And you can check your solution by clicking that link. Or if you get really stuck.
Where do we get the data from?
The data are in datasets. So I'm sorry, I skipped through that. So it's from the datasets package. So it's inside R. So if you have the datasets package, so you do ToothGrowth and then name it ToothGrowth. After you've loaded it, you can actually just name an object like this, and I name it ToothGrowth 2 just to differentiate it from the original ToothGrowth. So, but you have to load the datasets package first. So require datasets or install datasets. It's possible it's also bundled now with base R, but it's in the datasets package.
Is it just a request?